The questions you get in part 3 of the IELTS speaking test are usually a bit more challenging than the questions in previous parts. Therefore, some students can have problems understanding exactly what the question is asking. I've mentioned in previous videos what you can and can't do in parts 1 and 2 if you're having trouble understanding. In part 1 you can ask for repetition, and in part 2 you just have to do your best to guess if you're not sure, as the examiner can't do anything to help you. Part 3 is a bit different. There are actually 3 steps you can take if you're not sure what the examiner is saying. The first step is the same as part 1. You should ask for repetition. You might not have heard the examiner clearly, and hearing the question again may help you understand. Another advantage of asking for repetition is that it gives you a bit of time to think. So even if you do understand the question, getting the examiner to say it again will give you a bit of time to think about it and maybe just confirm that you understand correctly. There are several ways to ask the examiner to repeat the question. Something simple like pardon or sorry is fine. Or you could use longer phrases such as, could you repeat the question please? Or, would you mind repeating that? Many students are afraid to do this as they think it will have a negative effect on their band score. But it is better to really understand the question and give a clear answer rather than not understanding completely and giving a confused answer. If you hear the question again and you still don't understand fully, there is a second step you should take. You can ask for clarification. This means you will check the meaning of the question by asking the examiner to confirm your understanding is correct. Here we can ask questions which only require the examiner to say yes or no. With this approach, you're not asking too much from the examiner. You're trying to understand and you want to check with the examiner you're right. You might have a good idea of what the question is asking and you just need confirmation. So you use a phrase such as, so you're asking, followed by what you think the examiner has said. Another phrase you could use in the same way is, do you want me to talk about? These questions are good if you have an idea of what the whole question is asking you. But maybe there's a specific word you're having trouble with. In this case, you can guess what the word means. But check with the examiner before you give your answer. Something like this. Does the word you don't understand mean your guess? Or by the word you don't understand, do you mean your guess? These questions will probably be answered with a yes or no. If the examiner says yes, then you can go ahead with your answer. If they say no, then you have one last thing you can do. The final step is to ask the examiner to rephrase the question. If you're really struggling to understand the question, then this is a good thing to do. The examiner is allowed to ask the same question using different language or offer a short explanation that should make it easier to understand. You probably don't want to use this step for every question they ask, as the examiner will be helping you a lot. But if you really have no idea what the question is asking, then you have to ask for help. There are many ways to ask the examiner to rephrase. One way is to say, would you mind rephrasing the question? Or, sorry, could you explain the question in a different way, please? If you've gone through these 3 steps, you should have a good idea of what the examiner wants you to talk about. But there is a small chance you won't. And if this happens, then the best thing to do is guess. Just have a guess. It might be worth just being honest with the examiner and saying something like, I'm still not sure I understand, but followed by your guess. It's better to attempt answering the question than saying nothing at all. Thanks for watching. If you found the video useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos.